We've seen F1 begin to expand into some new areas in the last 15 years. Korea, India, the US and races in the Middle East have popped up, and some of those races have disappeared off the grid. But the race that started this trend at the end of the 2000s was Singapore, the first race to be held at night, but Singapore's first race turned out to be full of controversy. It was a race that would lead to a team winning their first race of the season, but that very team manipulated the outcome. This race is the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix. The New Locations Initiative was a plan by F1 to bring F1 to new locations around the world. The first race on this list was Singapore, and in early 2007 the plans were drawn up and it was planned to be a run at night to focus on European audiences, and this made it the first race to take place at night. Construction began in August of 2007 and a total of 1,600 lights were used to light up the track. However, some of the curbs were not so friendly and the track did not drain well, but it was a dry race so it would be fine. Oh, and this was F1's 800th Grand Prix, just a little fun fact. At the previous race in Monza, Sebastian Vettel took his and Toro Rosso's first victory in the wet to become the youngest driver to win an F1 race at 21 years and 73 days. This would set the stage after one of the most surprising victories in that decade for a great race, or so you would expect. After the first three practice sessions, Hamilton was the fastest in the first practice and Alonso was the fastest in the second and third practice. You would expect Alonso to get pole after dominating two sessions that weekend, but in Q2 he pulled over to the sides of the track with a fuel pump failure. This meant that he would start 15th for the main race, with the top three on the grid being Massa, Hamilton and Raikkonen. On Sunday, the grid pulled away for the formation lap, but at the last corner, Nelson Piquet in his Renault span at the final corner and missed the wall by inches. He would survive with no damage and would go on to start the race. Alonso, from 15th on the grid, would normally start on the hardest compound of tyre, pit late to gain track position and hope for a safety car, which was more than likely at the Marina Bay circuit. But he pitted on lap 12 and went on to soft tyres, refuelled the car and aimed to go for a long stint in the race, or so you would expect. 2 laps later, his teammate Nelson Piquet crashed at turn 17 and brought out the safety car. There was a rule in 2008 that if you pitted under the safety car, you had to serve a 10-second time penalty. Under the safety car, many people pitted due to them having to make a pit stop and refuel, because this is when they plan to go and pit about lap 17 as they do in the races today. This included Felipe Massa, who was driving for Ferrari at the time. If you have watched F1 recently, you'll know there has been a bit of controversy on this, and I'll explain later. Massa pitted and refuelled, but the hose was still attached when he left the pit box, and this dropped him down to last because he had to stop at the end of the pit lane to have it removed. And he got released just in front of another car, so he had a 5-second time penalty for an unsafe release. Now this was to try and save time, but why did it happen? One word: Ferrari. All this chaos led to Alonso being in 5th, and Rosberg, in his Williams, led. Rosberg and Kubica, who was in 4th, had 10-second time penalties for the both of them because they pitted under the safety car. This meant that Trulli took the lead, Alonso moved up into 3rd, behind Fisichella, who then pitted. Trulli pitted, and Alonso took the lead before pitting once again, but kept the lead. Webber retired on lap 29 because a car went over a tram line that was under the track whilst changing gear, and this caused the gearbox to break, although this was never confirmed by the city officials. On lap 51, Trulli broke down, then Massa tapped the wall before Sutil crashed into the wall moments later, and this brought out a safety car. Alonso kept the lead and went on to win the race, whilst Raikkonen crashed, and this brought his 2008 championship hopes to an end. The podium order went Alonso, Rosberg, Hamilton. However, Massa finished last due to the Renault of Nelson Piquet crashing. Now, you may not have the best grades in school, but it was a little bit suspicious that Alonso was on a strange strategy that would not normally be done in this position, and that his teammate crashed 2 laps after he pitted, giving Alonso the win. This not only gifted Renault a win, but it led to Hamilton gaining 6 points on Massa, and come the end of the season, it was enough for Hamilton to win the title by 1 point in the final race, in the final lap on the final corner. But this race was seen as a success for F1 and for everyone involved, except for Ferrari, and this would lead no one to suspect the race and just think it was a bit of luck for Alonso. In August of 2009, Renault fired Nelson Piquet, and as a result, Piquet went to the FIA and told them that the Renault team principal, Flavio Briatore, and executive head of engineering Pat Simmons, allegedly told Piquet to crash on purpose to win the race for Alonso. Alonso and the rest of the team did not know about it, allegedly. As the team was investigated, Simmons and Briatore left the team and they'd later get punished, with Simmons getting a 5-year ban from racing and Briatore getting a lifelong ban, but both of them were later overturned. After further investigation, Renault got a 2-year suspended sentence from F1, so if they committed a similar crime by 2011, they'll get a ban from F1, but this did not happen. The race win was not taken away, and in fact, at the next race in Japan, Alonso won on merit. As I said earlier, Lewis Hamilton won the 2008 world title, but due to this race and Massa losing 6 points on Hamilton, many believe this was the race which led to the final corner overtake, allowing Hamilton to win the title that year. Then we have the modern day, with Felipe Massa launching a legal process against F1 to overturn the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, as he arguably lost the title because of this. As of now, the case is still ongoing, and since then, the Renault team has become Lotus, Renault and Alpine before winning the next race in Fuji. As of now, it is currently Alpine. After that, Renault has only won one other race, and that was with Esteban Ocon in Hungary in 2021. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any reason to dislike the video, let me know in the comments, and if you have enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.